Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the Grant County, West Virginia Matrix Show. I'm your host, Brian Shreve. On today's show, I have a number of topics to discuss. Hope everybody had a happy 4th of July and stayed out of trouble and didn't lose any fingers letting off fireworks. Alright, we'll start off with the Grant County, West Virginia Observer. There was some comments made about me praising Jill for doing a good job on her Facebook page. I look at it this way. We had a disagreement on Facebook. That doesn't mean I can't put our differences aside and support her when she's doing something good. If she's downtown giving a homeless person a sandwich, should I condemn her for that? No. I should put our differences aside and support her in helping that homeless guy eat a sandwich. It's that simple. Sometimes you gotta bite your tongue, put your differences to the side for the greater good of everybody. That's how I look at that. So that's my defense on me saying she done a good job with her Facebook page. That's all I have to say about that, because what's in the past is in the past. I prefer to leave it there. Alright, moving on. The siren test. Here a while back they supposedly conducted a tornado siren test of some sort. And there was some feuding back and forth on Facebook about it, and I'm not getting in the middle of that. I'm not taking sides. I'm calling it right down the middle and telling it like it is. I've been here my whole life, 41 years. And I never heard anything about a tornado siren test. Don't know what it sounds like, didn't know it existed. I know nothing about it. If there is a tornado siren, then I feel everybody should know what it sounds like. Even the people who live outside of the town. We might be inside town shopping or something when the thing goes off. We need to know what it is. Plain and simple. Again, I'm not taking sides, I'm just telling it how it is. If there is such a test, we need to know what it sounds like. And that's common sense. And supposedly, the emergency plan is 13 years old. Any type of emergency plan, I'm not sure exactly which one they're talking about here. It sounds like they're talking about siren test, but that could include other things, I don't know. But anything that's 13 years old, that's way too long to let something go and not update it. I mean, in my opinion, bare minimum 3 years, but it should be done annually. The 13 years, technology changes, things change. That needs to be updated. And I'm not saying that the Office of Emergency Management is doing a bad job. I'm just saying there's some room for improvement. And me personally, I'd like to know what the tornado siren sounds like. I mean, is it a duck quacking, a dog barking, a fart? I don't know. Whatever it is, we need to know what it is. Moving on. Emergency preparedness. Well, as you can see, I'm sure most of y'all been watching the news, or some of you. That's your mindless little sheep that doesn't pay any attention to that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of them out there, believe me. I deal with it on a regular basis. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to prepare for an emergency, because it wouldn't do you any good unless you're single with no kids and you have a dog. Every situation's different. Some people have kids, some people have elderly people to look after, some people have health conditions like diabetes or in a wheelchair. So everybody's situation's different. You can get on YouTube, the internet, all kinds of videos show you how to do a bug out bag, how to prepare for certain situations, flood, whatever. You can get on there and look, do your own research, decide for yourself what you need for you and your family or whatever your situation is. I mean, somebody lives in an apartment, they're obviously going to have to prepare differently than someone that, say, lives out in the country. So you got to think about stuff like that. There's books you can get. This one right here is a good book. Emergency Preparedness and Survival Guide. A lot of stuff in it. Surviving emergencies, canning food, storing fuels, storing water, medical kits, terrorism, emergency shelters. The list goes on and on. Highly recommend that one. Then there's Build the Perfect Bug Out Bag. Highly recommend everybody have at least one bug out bag. It's good to have one in your vehicle in case you run into something on the road. And another reason you want to have one in your vehicle is if you're at work. Say you're at work, the earthquake happens or something, flood, whatever. You need a get home bag. Now some people, they live a mile away from work. That's going to be a lot easier to get home. But in my case, it's 20 miles. So I have to prepare for a 20-mile hike or whatever if I can't use my vehicle. A lot of things to consider. A lot of alternatives, just different scenarios, things that could happen. There's magazines you can get. I subscribe to this one, Survivor's Edge. Are You Ready? It's got different ideas for prepper products. Surviving the First 72 Hours. Just different things. I highly recommend this magazine. Here's another one, Survival Guide. Walmart usually has these. Food Line has them, but it's cheaper if you subscribe. If you buy it off the shelf, this is $9. But in this one, Adapting to the Aftermath. Ham radio, kinds of different ideas. Here, this is Survival Guide. This is more into dude's got a grenade launcher. I'm not recommending you go out and get a grenade launcher, but you can read between the lines. There's different things in here you can deal with, get with, prepare with, the whole 9 yards. Different scenarios. You never know when something's going to happen. All that flooding out west, food prices are going to go up. Earthquake out in California. You just never know. I mean, locally we had flooding out there in Harmon, Seneca, out in that area. Caught everybody off guard a little bit. I mean, it hit all at once too. Kind of scary. Moving on with emergency preparedness. Ham radio. I highly recommend everybody get a ham radio license and learn the basics on how to use it. There's different things you can do with it. Communicate. I mean, on the 2-meter level, which is your technician license, that's what I have. You're kind of limited. You got to use a repeater or direct line of sight. But it's got the weather on it. I got a little handheld Yaesu. It cost me about $180 on eBay. I bought this over 10 years ago. Still works. Rechargeable batteries. I can pick up NOAA weather with it.
To the South Monday. Showers and thunderstorms will continue to be possible during this time.
I can hit the repeater in Moorfield with it.
Advancing an ACAA repeater. DL 118.8.
Handy little radio. Could save your life, never know. If you don't want to get your ham radio license, you can always go with a scanner. Bearcat, Uniden Bearcat, got 10-band radio scanner. It also has the weather on it. That's your legal option. I don't recommend you use one of these until you get your license. I mean, there a lot of bear hunters do, and they don't get caught. But if you get caught, you can get in a little bit of trouble. It's all politics. The reason the bear hunters get by with it, but that's another story. There is a club in Moorfield, the PHARC, Potomac Highlands Amateur Radio Club. They do test sessions about every 3 months. The next one is September 7th at 9 a.m. at the 911 Office of Emergency Management in Moorfield. You can go to their website, pharc.org, and get the information that you need to go take this test. There's identification you got to bring with you and all that. If I remember correctly, it's about 20-25 questions on the test. It's multiple choice. You can go to Amazon or eBay. You can get a book that you can study. This is for the general class. I have my technician license. I need to get my general. But you can get a book. It has all the questions in it. All the answers. You study all them. And you actually go online and they have practice tests on there. I think QRZ.com is one place. You can find it online. You can test yourself before you go take the test and get your license. That way you're legal to use a ham radio, certain frequencies with your technician license. Moving on, we'll pick on the Grant County Prostitute a little bit. I ain't picked on them in a while. I probably shouldn't do this considering the situation, but I will go ahead and do it. I've read the Grant County Press for years, over 20 years probably. And one thing I've noticed, and I've noticed a lot of things, but one of the things I've noticed in regards to out Mount Storm and Baird and that area, the only time they get talked about in the press is if it is sports related or something tragic happened. I mean, somebody has to get killed in a car accident and their head ripped off and rolled down the road and run over by a UPS truck. Grant County Press is on top of it. Flood, they're right on top of this flood out there. Somebody gets burned up in a house fire, they're right on top of it. But you never hear anything else about Baird or anything. A lot of people don't even know that Baird is part of this county. They have no clue. They even have a mayor. You would think there would be some type of meetings or something going on out there. Business, running the town and all that we would at least know about what's going on through the Grant County Press, but don't hear anything unless it's sports related or something tragic. I wish the Grant County Press would get with the program and quit some of their shenanigans. I know they threw me under the bus when I run for county commissioner. That's all I have to say about that bunch. Taxation without representation. It's time to pick on Commissioner Miley a little bit. I know I'll get labeled the bad guy for pointing this out, but somebody's got to do it. I was reading in here. Oh, there it is. We'll get rid of the burn material there. Alright, it says right here. The commission approved the designation of depositories for the county. This included the deposit of approximately $7,038,000 into an account at Grant County Bank, and the deposit of $3,045,000 into an account at Summit Community Bank. Commissioner Scotty Miley, an employee at the Grant County Bank, abstained from voting on either of these deposit approvals. Now, back before the election, I brought up the fact that if Commissioner Miley continued to work at the Grant County Bank, it would be a conflict of interest. Well, here we go. So the way around this was he abstained from voting. Well, that's all fine and dandy until you look at the flip side of it. That is also, by him doing that, that is called taxation without representation. For those of you that's not familiar with that, I'll read a little breakdown of what that is. The colonists were not allowed to choose representatives to Parliament in London, which passed the laws under which they were taxed. To be taxed only with the consent of one's representatives in Parliament was a particular cherished right of the people under English law, a right dating back to Magna Carta in the 13th century. Each additional tax caused fresh resentment among the colonists. Taxation without representation is one of the principal offenses of Britain listed in the Declaration of Independence. Now, when Miley was voted in, he was voted in to represent the Milroy district. So therefore, that is our representative. And he did not vote in this. Anything that, in regards to Grant County Bank, he will not be able to make any decisions whatsoever on, because it would be a conflict of interest. So therefore, he's not representing us 100% like he's supposed to be. This is tyranny. He's our representative. He's our voice in the Milroy District. By him doing this, he basically puckered his butthole, shit on us, all the people in the Milroy District, and anybody that ran against him for county commission. I remember at Meet the Candidates night, Bobby Funk stood up there and said that if he got commissioner, he would quit his job at the hospital. I think he's an EMT or something. Miley didn't mention one way or the other what he was going to do. Everything was hush hush. Well, now we see what's coming out of all this. He's no different than the rest of them in there. He's basically falling right in suit with them. In my opinion, he needs to do the right thing, either quit the bank or quit the commission. He can't do both. That's conflict of interest. And he can't serve the people of the Milroy District by not voting on certain things just to keep from having a conflict of interest. And one way or the other, he's going to have to do something. In my opinion, if he don't quit the Grant County Bank, he needs to be impeached. I want full representation. If I'm paying taxes, I want to be represented. Plain and simple. Any taxpayer that's paying taxes should be represented. And what he's doing is taxation without representation. And, you know, one might sit and argue and say, well, the other two commissioners are representing us. When you run for county commission, you got to live in that district in order to run. You're representing that district. The other two don't represent me. Miley represents me until he pulls stunts like this. I'm not happy about it. I think it's very disrespectful. People fought and died for this country. We should not have taxation without representation. I mean, that was settled back in 1776. It just blows my mind. And you'd think somebody went to college would know that. I'm sure he's fully aware of it, probably, but it all boils down to prestige and money. Sure, it's going to hurt his old wallet if he has to quit the bank, but he's making $40 grand a year as county commissioner, but he can't do certain things that involve a Grant County Bank, then he needs to take a pay cut. If he ain't going to leave or quit the bank, he needs to do something. That's not right. Moving on. The Trump speech. I want to talk about sheeple a little bit. Trump gave a speech on the 4th of July. I didn't listen to it. Don't get into all that too much. But I heard on the radio going to work yesterday morning, they was talking about Trump's speech, and they played a little bit of it, and he's talking about George Washington and the Continental Army taking back the airport. I'm sure it was a goof, I reckon. I don't know what you want to call it. Everybody has their own opinion, but I got a kick out of it. I got a sense of humor. I laughed about it. I went on to work. I got to thinking. That I'm going to test some of my co-workers a little bit. Went up to the First Lady, telling her about Trump's speech. I told her that George Washington and the Continental Army took back the airport. She's like, so? I'm like, think about that a little bit. They took back the airport. Yeah, so what? I'm like, think about that a little bit. I'm not a history buff. I'm like, okay. When did we start flying airplanes? Well, I don't know. This lady didn't have a clue. So I walked away, went to a guy I work with, same thing. I told him same story. He's like, so? They took back the airport, so what? Same ordeal, right over his head. One of the biggest problems in this country is sheeple, mindless sheeple. They have no clue what's going on whatsoever, and then they go vote. So is it any wonder we end up with people like AOC and that one crazy lady, I can't think of her name right now, but she was on the news complaining that people were on the internet making fun of Congress and that they should be arrested. I can't remember her name now, but where's the cowboy hat? I don't know. Anyhow, it goes to show how dumbed down people are. They know nothing. They get up every day. They're just smart enough to go do the job and pay the taxes, but they're not intelligent enough to question anything. Now, I pointed this out to the Grant County Press about Miley. I bet less than 1% of the people that read the Grant County Press will pick up on that. And the ones that watch this video, I guarantee there'll be a lot of them that defend Miley. Oh, he's a good guy, he's a good guy. I don't care if he gets down on his hands and knees and prays to God every 5 minutes, gives millions of dollars to charity, whatever. That does not change the fact that what he is doing is taxation without representation. Bottom line, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Take that to court, I'm going to win, he's going to lose. Bottom line. That's how it is. And the sheeple of Grant County, majority of them will support him on that dumb shit right there. He puckered his asshole like this, and he took a shit on us. And he probably sitting back counting his damn money. Yeah, I'm a little bit pissed about it. I just burns my ass. These people get in office, they think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. There's laws, there's rules, there's rights, the whole 9 yards. And he crossed the line there. Something needs done about it. I don't know who you can go to about it because they're all in bed with each other. I said before he's a groomed candidate. He's had his head up Joe Manchin's ass for years, all the way back to his college days. You go on his Facebook page, there's pictures. My question is, what pictures aren't on there? Do a little homework on people. Dig around a little bit. Crying out loud. It's not going to improve in Grant County. It never will. It's like my great uncle Skinner always said. And he'd take a dozer and cover Grant County over and put a tombstone at each end, because it's drying up like a leaf and it's going to wither away. And that's basically what it's doing. There's nothing there. And then we got crooks running the show, breaking the law and smearing mud in their face. Oh well. I guess life goes on. I think that's about all I want to talk about. Just remember, to prepare yourself for emergencies. Don't totally depend on local government and local emergency personnel to spoon feed you and wipe your ass. They're not able to do that. They're not intended to do that. And they're not going to do that. I mean, they'll help you, but they can only help people that's willing to help themselves. Sometimes you gotta meet people halfway. So, in an emergency, it helps to go ahead and have yourself prepared. It makes it easier on them so they can help other people that are in worse situations. I mean, it's just a good idea to prepare yourself. And it's not that hard. You don't need to go out and buy a bomb shelter. I mean, you can if you want to. I mean, if you got that kind of time and money, go for it. Have at it. But it's not necessary unless we're going to get bombed, which could happen. You never know. So do what you feel is best for you. But do something. Flashlights, toilet paper, water. Water is your main thing. You can go 3 days without water, and then you're done for. Things start shutting down, you start having problems. So you got to have water, and it's got to be clean drinking water. You just can't go to the river and scoop up a bucket of water. There's water filters you can get. I use a Berkey water filter. That's a little bit of a high-end filter, a little bit expensive, but it's top of the line. There's others you can get, and even then you still got to boil your water probably, because I don't think it kills the germs. So if I was to run, say, creek water in through it, I would have to probably go ahead and boil the water after I filtered it. But there's just different things you can do, and just try to think outside the box a little bit. Think differently. Just look at different scenarios, what could happen, what couldn't happen, on and on. That's about all I have for today's show. So, everybody stay safe and be careful out there, will you?